I got the hiccups. Welcome everyone to today's sitting. It's Monday, and I thought we'd talk a little bit about manifestation. Actually, we're not going to talk about manifestation. Well, we will talk about manifestation, but we'll talk about a different approach to doing it, because I personally am a little bit against the whole concept of using manifestations. I wanted to talk about the difference between doing what I call like path clearing, or clearing the path for what you want in your life, compared to manifesting. Your dream life. Because many of the people that I sit with in coaching, they come with a specific problem and they want to solve that problem. As I've said before, one of the issues I have is that I never think about, I usually don't give much, much weight to what people are going through in the sense of the specific problems, because I don't believe that I am the best person to solve their problems. I believe that whoever you are, whatever your experience is, you're the best one to solve that problem. But what you can do to solve that problem is that you can clear the path, meaning you can change how you relate to or how you feel about that problem. So say that you have love problems. You want to find a partner. In manifestation, it would be the idea of adding something. So I feel I don't have a partner, so I want to manifest a partner into my life. And so to do that, I think about my dream life. I'm lifting. I'm trying to create something that isn't from what I believe reality should be for me. So I try to manifest something that isn't there, and by doing that, I have to add something to my life. The idea of path clearing, or looking at distortion, would be to look at the feeling you have towards being alone. Because if you look at what it feels like to be alone, there's a feeling towards it. Hey Nicole, nice to see you. Sorry, my throat. I got a frog. So I was just starting talking about the difference between manifestation and path clearing. I'm still coming up with what to call it. But the idea of how people always want to have a specific outcome, whereas I'm more interested in helping you find the solution yourself, but doing so by taking away the resistance you have towards the problem. So the example was, if you're looking for a partner and you feel that, I want to find a partner, and you try to manifest that partner, then you try to add something to your life. You're trying to create something that isn't there. Whereas the idea behind what I try to help people with is that there is an obstacle towards having a partner, because if you think about, first of all, being alone, you very likely have a feeling about being alone. And that feeling might be that, I don't like being alone, it's not nice being here, I'm so amazing, I deserve someone, or I'm so terrible, I don't deserve someone. Whatever it is, there's a lot of distortions you have towards being alone. And then when you think about having someone in your life, a partner, there's a lot of distortions towards that. There will be feelings of, if I get someone, they have to be like this and they have to be like that, and you have all these criteria that they need to fulfill, and this is what I want from my partner. In other words, you're creating these obstacles for someone to come into your life, instead of just being open to someone coming into your life. So on one hand, we're trying to visualize, we're trying to create something that isn't there. On the other approach, we're not trying to create anything. The goal is not to get something. The goal is to feel good about being where we are, and to feel good about possibly being where we want to go. I mean, yeah, the feeling we have towards going where we want to go. Because if you are single and you're looking for someone, there is a lot of feelings and distortions connected to that we don't usually think about, because we just like, I want to, obviously, I don't want to be alone. Obviously, I want to meet something. I mean, I'm telling you I want to meet. I'm not, but like someone who's in that situation would say that. So it might seem very clear that, yes, that's obviously I want that. But when you start looking at it, when I start talking to people, asking them questions and saying, like, what do you have any distortion towards this? Is this something that's valid, or what's behind that? Hey, Stephen, nice to see you. And you start breaking it down, then all of a sudden you'll realize that there is a lot of resistance towards getting a partner, because as we said, we have all these ideas of what they have to be like, and I don't want to have that. And then very likely you had some experience, or possibly you had some experience before of someone you were with and that ended badly. You were cheated on, or they weren't how you thought they were, or it was actually very difficult to be together with someone because they demanded things from you as well. And you have all these things connected to finding someone. So just skipping the whole idea of the universe being magical and pulling and pushing and pulling things towards us, which, I mean, absolutely there seems to be an action of attracting things. But we can skip all of that and not even take that into account. But instead just think of, imagine if you have, on one hand, you try to visualize, manifest a dream partner, and you think about what he or she is going to look like. They have this body, they have these finances, they look like this, and they talk like this, and they have these interests, and they have all these things they have. And you go out to a club, or club is not a good place to meet someone. You go out to on town, and someone just approaches you. And as soon as they do, you start running through this checklist. You're like, oh, this is what I want. Is this actually who I wanted to attract into my life? And you start judging them for that. So instead of seeing them for who they are, you see them through this filter of, this is what I want my boyfriend, girlfriend to be like. And if they don't fulfill these criteria, then I'm not going to like them. So from the very start, you have a lot of distortions towards whoever you're meeting. On the other hand, if you go into it with having done the work before, where you looked at, oh, what kind of distortions do I have towards being alone, meaning I don't feel fear about being alone, I'm okay with being alone, but I also don't have any fear or distortions towards meeting someone. I'm okay with meeting someone, and I'll see who they are. And then you meet them, you talk to them, and you can actually see them more clearly for who they are. And maybe they're very nervous, so they don't even show the right image to you directly. Or maybe they're trying too hard, and you can see through that because you're not so desperate to meet someone. So now all of a sudden you're seeing them more for who they are. And it might be that you decide, oh, you know what, I just don't like this person. They're not what I'm after. But you give them a chance. You've taken away what's stopping you from finding someone, not by adding something, but by taking something away. And the thing we take away is the resistance towards getting what we want. Compare it again to manifestation, where we try to add something. We try to add an image or what would I call that? Let's see, Nicole, if you look at the past and all the things you manifested, it usually was not the dream you imagined. Yeah, absolutely. It tends to be that way many times. But I think it's a valid point and an interesting perspective to think about, because, as I said, so many of the people who come to me have something they want to do or something they want to achieve. Not everyone. A lot of people come just because they want to learn and understand themselves. And then they see the other stuff. It's just, we'll see what happens. But many people, they want to do something. They want to have something. They want to get somewhere. And I'm almost allergic to the whole concept of manifestation, because in my opinion, it's kind of it's just another way of getting stuff. You're doing exactly the same thing as when you were out trying to become rich, trying to become fit. It's just the same way, like you haven't really done anything. Stephen, don't look to manifest things to find peace and everything will fall into place. Yeah, basically. Maybe not everything. And it's also not enough just to feel peace. You actually need to take action. So, you're absolutely right. Like, instead of trying to get things into your life, find peace with where you are. Take away the distortion. Look at the distortion. Be okay with the distortion. See how this affects you being in this life because of that distortion, and then see who would you be without that distortion. And what was it Mats said last time? He called it so good. He called it lowering the stakes. You lower the stakes of the situation so you can actually let go of it, because it is a difficult thing. I talk about it all the time. I'll just do this and that. Like, no, it is difficult, and the deeper rooted it is, the harder it's going to be to go in there and bring it up and really look at it, because it hurts. It physically hurts to look at this stuff. That's why it's like, I call it distortions, because it feels like your whole world is distorted by the stuff. And when you bring it out to the surface, it is painful. But when you do that, what you're doing is you're clearing the path. So you just automatically by doing this, it's just easier for things to come into your life because you no longer have so many resistance towards things. You're more open to life as it is. And the philosophy behind it is that it's almost like a stream. There's all these good things that come into our life. There's all these possibilities and options and ideas and we can lash onto and try, but we don't because we have these. Oh, I think I got something in my. We have all of this stuff preventing us from going here. So what a lot of people do when they work with their money mindset is that they think like, oh, I am a millionaire. I deserve money. I create wealth and abundance. And they come up with all these words to try to add something instead of saying like, oh, no, what you need to do. Oh, sorry. Oh, that's quite painful. It's like I got... Let's see, maybe it goes out. I got some, almost like a flake or something. What was I saying? Oh yes, money mindset. Instead of trying to create and trying to visualize and force yourself into feeling what it would be like to have $1 million, instead you would go and look at what kind of resistance do I have when I have that immediately when I think of like, oh, having lots of money, being very rich. I'm like, oh yeah, but what if someone tries to take the money, or what should I do with it? Like, oh, imagine if you got $1 billion. Like, what on earth would I do with it? I start giving it out there, but then they'd be jealous, they'd be angry at me. Maybe someone would start like, and there's all this resistance instead of just accepting it's okay to have that kind of money. Like, there's no problem with it. But we have all these things preventing us from doing that because we have so much resistance towards where we want to go. So if you would work on path clearing instead, meaning taking away the obstacles of getting you there, then all of a sudden life becomes free and open. You have the choice. What do I want to do? Well, you don't need to make all that money. When you're manifesting, you haven't even looked at that. I want to get this, because if I get this, then I will be happy. And that just never works, which is again why I think that manifestation and that whole philosophy is so completely misguided, because you're just doing the same thing. It's just more of what you did before. It's a new way of getting stuff. And you're trying to kind of hijack some spiritual beliefs and quantum mechanics, and people throw those terms around like left and right, and like, yeah, this is how it is, science, blah blah blah, and like it's proven, and they do that, and it's kind of, yeah, but you're just doing the same thing. It's just never gonna work. Kind of, it's not the end of struggle that you're looking at all the time. Like the end of samsara would be the Buddhist term, but I didn't want to say that. But that is quite literally what it feels like, the end of struggle. Whereas in this option, it's okay. Well, obviously you need food, you need somewhere to stay, but except for that, like, you're fine. You no longer feel like you're incomplete unless you get over there. In fact, a big part of the work is to look at what it feels like to get over there, and not, as in manifestation, try to feel all the joy, the excitement. It will feel some, because that's a strong sense of self. That's a distortion in and of itself. Instead, just look at, oh, what would that feel like, and be peaceful. Like Stephen said, to be at peace with getting over there, to find calmness, even if you would get there. And that way you would take away everything that's stopping you from being able to make the choice to go there. Because maybe in your life, in your family never had a lot of money, and so the idea that you would earn a lot of money might be something that is making you feel bad, because what would my parents say? What would my relatives say? What people think of me? Because, oh, people with money, they're bad people, they're evil people. And you have all these, they've used people to get to where they are. You have all these ideas of what it means to get to have money. Stephen is saying, don't you feel most people need something to go after, accomplish, fight against, to be at peace? No, absolutely not. Quite the opposite. If you fight and if you struggle, you're just saying it's not okay to be here. I believe a lot of people believe they do, and I believe many good things can come from that. A lot of growth can come, but ultimately, no. If you're talking about, like, do you need that to To be at peace? No, absolutely not. If anything, it kind of deludes you. You can get moments like, okay, I'm on this path, so now I feel okay with myself because I'm on a righteous path. I'm trying to get to this goal over there. And you have to make up these excuses why it's okay to go over there. And like, oh, it's okay to get money because if I get money, I can help others. I'm not getting it for myself. Whatever it is, like you have in the way of you getting there, but you're struggling, you're going over there. And it's still this thing that we're so not okay with just being here, which is again why I have struggled with helping people get to where they want to go, because I am worried that people will take that and do exactly what you're saying. Like, oh, I need to get this. I need to get over there because then I can find peace. And like, you don't need that. Stephen, well, yes, most people feel they need this or struggle for something, but it's just an illusion. And the thing is, it feels so real. We feel so alive from this struggle because you're activating the sense of self. When you're just at peace, you're just being. The problem for many people is that they drop into neutrality. They just feel neutral, and that's kind of a blah state to be in, a bland state. And it's not really a nice place to be compared to just being at peace and at ease with nothing you need. It's difficult to explain this when you haven't experienced it, but when you really felt what it's like to just be and not needing to go somewhere, it makes sense. And they said that it's worth more than all the money in the world, because it really is. There's no amount of money that could give you that feeling of, oh, I arrived. I am here. Like, I don't need to go anywhere else. I am home. There's no struggle. Instead of the end of suffering, I think a better word would be the end of struggle. There's no struggle anymore. You just are. And that is not an on-off switch. It really is a gradual thing that you can move towards. But you have to be willing to face the feeling of not going where you want to be. But there also is absolutely the part that drives us towards things and that can make us feel bad. I am not saying here, oh, just sit on your sofa and just do nothing. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. That's a really good way to get depressed. Instead, I'm saying don't believe that you need to get over there to be happy. But at the same time, as long as you are within that system, you have to work with that. You cannot just stop doing it and pretend like it's not real, because then you're like living in denial. Like, you do believe you need to get over there, and you do believe you need to have these things until you don't. So then you have to kind of follow that. But it doesn't mean you need to, while you do that, work on looking at what it's doing to you. Work at seeing how that changes who you are and how you relate to the world around you. And see, what would my life be like if I wasn't doing that? Maybe you're going over there, like, I know you're into sports, Steven, so imagine you're like, oh, I'm working so hard to win this cup and get over there and get this, like, whatever it is you want to go. And then you get there and it's kind of like, oh, well, I just did it because everyone else around me said I should do it. And a lot of people who become really, like, hyper famous and successful, they have that feeling when they get there, like, oh, there was nothing there. I worked so hard, and when I got everything I wanted, it was completely empty. I think Jim Carrey is one of the people who talk a lot about this, even though he really spaced out into the spirituality part. But when you look at that, it makes sense, because we believe if I can just get there. And so that is the sense of self feeling it wants to go over there. And you follow along for that ride, and you do those things. And then law of attraction does the same thing. Whereas if you really want to look at the sense of self, you need to break that apart. And a good way to do that is to see that it's not about whether you go over there and become successful or not. That's besides the point. Maybe it's really fun. If you enjoy basketball, if I remember correctly, play basketball. And why not get good at it? But the idea that you would, like, struggle so hard and go through all this, like, mental anguish, and, like, no, that doesn't make any sense. But very likely the relaxed feeling you would have and the calmness you would have would make you a much better performer than if you constantly push and punish yourself to get there. So Nicole is saying, I wonder if it's just human nature to always think the grass is greener on the other side and want to... Yes, I actually believe this is what people call the self. I personally believe this is a belief, a hypothesis. It's not truth, it's not divine wisdom. I believe what we feel as a sense of self is simply evolution or human nature. And I think all animals have it as well. So when we're outside of the group, we feel bad because we need to go into the group. Without the group, we're at danger, we can die. When we feel that I want to have more things, I need to hoard things, because otherwise, if there's a winter coming or there's a bad season where we don't have food, then I will die. So I need to gather more things. It's just, and all of, when you really start looking at distortion, what it feels like, the feeling you have towards things around you, Feng Shui makes so much sense from the perspective of distortion. It's like the people who did Feng Shui, they were masters at feeling distortion, because they could feel that it's very different to have, I have a door over there. It's very different for me to face that door than if the door would be over here. That would have a sense of, oh, that's a bit uncomfortable because I can't see who's coming through the door. So it makes more sense to have an office chair facing the place where someone could come in. It all is based on evolution and making you survive. The thing is, we don't need that anymore. We have evolved to such a degree that we can use our minds to understand things and create things. We don't need to be ruined. Yeah, actually we are ruined. To be whipped around by this thing that evolution hung over us so many years ago, just to make sure we didn't just go and jump off a cliff or die from hunger. Stephen, it's the constant cycle of seeking more pleasures, but it'll never complete you. I find that those at peace feel more complete within themselves. So I want you to look at what you just said, Stephen, and then tie that back to what the thing you were saying before. Don't you feel most people need something to go after, accomplish, fight against to be at peace? It's very interesting. I see in you these two dichotomies, like the two different things. I can see that you in one end can see like, oh, okay, this it makes sense that I shouldn't need these things. But then there's the other part, like, yeah, but it is really important, and I need to do this. Yeah, but at the same time, I need to be. And I think everyone who comes into spirituality has these two polarities. They can see like, oh, it makes sense. Like all of this stuff is just nonsense. Like I will never be fulfilled by anything I can get from the outside world. But at the same time, it is really important that I succeed and that I strive, that I find my purpose. And spirituality, the way it's become, and especially with law of attraction, it's just become this like euphoria for the ego. It's basically giving it free reins of it. Like when you were in the normal world with getting money and fame and fortune and partners and stuff, then there were limits to what you could say, because, well, other people would think you were like crazy if you said you wanted to have. Yeah, if you were very specific about the partner you wanted, like that just sounds a bit weird, kind of. Whereas when it comes to spirituality, you can say absolutely anything, no matter what it is, and like completely outrageous, like not outrageous, but completely so far away from reality, because I'm being spiritual. I'm following my flow. I'm just visualizing. In other words, it's just let the go. The self has just gotten a complete free pass, and just like, oh, yeah, here you go, just run wild, like go with it. It's fine. It's spiritual. You can do and say whatever, because you're just being your true self. You're just letting out whatever inside. You're being true to your true nature and following your flow. It's like, yeah, when you started seeing this, the way spiritual people behave kind of becomes, oh, that's, yeah, a bit crazy, like my son says. And I don't mean this as in if you're spiritual crazy. I mean it as when people take spirituality and pull it to its furthest edge and just go nuts with it. And I think everyone has to do that. You have to kind of go through that to see like, oh, okay, wait a minute, there was nothing here. And then you kind of come back and you're a little bit ashamed, like, oh man, like I was so embarrassing. Can't believe, I mean, I've been embarrassing, trust me. Like I'm not talking about this because I don't do this. So I feel you when you have these struggles inside, when you go through all of this mental anguish, and when you try to figure things out, and how difficult it is to feel, what am I supposed to do? And I think that's also one of the most common questions I get. Like, just tell me what to do. What am I supposed to do? Like, just tell me. And again, this is the self wanting to know what it's supposed to do to be a good boy or a good girl, so that I get the rewards that I'm supposed to have. Instead of just being, you have to give up the idea of being a good or bad person. Like all of that has to go. But that's difficult to do at the same time. So we can actually use the idea of I want to get over there and look at the distortions you have and path clear. And once you've done that, you see like, oh, actually, you know what? I could get over there without the stress, without the anguish, without feeling like I needed to get over there to be happy. There will always be something on the surface level, like milling around, until there isn't. So it's not like it all goes away. But it is a struggle, and I know it's difficult because I've done it so much, probably more than most people, which is why I feel so much about it, and I can feel the relief of not having to do that with every single thing in my life. Oh, yeah, it's quite something when you realize how much easier life can be. But there's still struggle. In other words, it doesn't mean that everything just goes away. So until you're done with all of it, you're still going to have to work with it. Stephen, yes, I was pointing out the fault in our minds. Oh, okay, yeah. So, yeah, I'd like to think of, can you see this, like a, in manifesting or creating a dream life, we're trying to like, we have a river that like naturally wants to flow. It just naturally wants to flow down. And then you say, no, don't go there. I want you to go back up the hill because over there it's very nice. Over there there's something beautiful that I want to see. So you push the river, try to pump it up. Instead of like, oh, no, you know what? Life is just flowing. Like things are happening and I'm along for the ride. I'm going to clear the path of this river so that it can run smoothly and I can just have a nice ride when I go down. So it's the difference of trying to force reality into what we want it to be and instead be okay with reality being what it is and making choices without this emotional turmoil towards everything. Oh, I can't do this, I can't do that. Like, no, I can't have money because I would just lose it. Or like, what if the IRS come for me, or whatever it's called, the one for the taxes, and then other people are going to want to take the money from it. And maybe I can't find love because if I have money, then they will love me for the money. All these things in the way. So just clear that away and then see what happens. What you want to do. It might be that you're really, really good at making money. Well, then go make money. There's nothing wrong with money. It might be that you're really, really good at sports. Well, go play sports. There's nothing wrong with playing sports. So it's not about what we do. It's what's behind what we do. And it's making sure that when you do what you want to do, you feel good doing it. You don't do it by forcing yourself because I need to get to this point over there that I'm visualizing and I'm going to need to do these difficult actions, and when I do those difficult actions I would get this return. The option would be, okay, I want to get over there, I can see how I want to go there, and now I'm going to do this action. Oh, actually there's a lot of resistance here. Instead of just saying, oh well, there's resistance, I'm not going to do it, then you stop and you look at that resistance and you make sure that before you do that action, as good as you can, release that resistance, release that distortion, work with that, let go of it, and see that as the main goal, letting go of the distortion rather than going over there. So by doing that gradually, you will start removing all this resistance, and then eventually it's just the river will run down and you can see where it takes you. As I said, like maybe you're a genius at making money, or I think most people are able to and actually quite good at it, but we have all these ideas and beliefs that stop us from getting there. I'm just using money because it's such a common thing for many of us, myself included. I would love to have more money so that I could just do whatever I wanted, and I have ideas and thoughts about why that is difficult, and instead of believing that I need to get over there, I make sure that I feel okay with where I am, and then I take choices based on being okay. I think I said this before, like my job is, my daytime job is disappearing part of it, and it's going to mean that we financially cannot survive the way we do now. We'd have to lose our home, and it's something I don't want to do. So if I would be controlled by my distortions, I would take an offer that I got of, well, you can do a re-education to being a nurse and taking care of elderly people in elderly homes, which is something that I love elderly people and I really like talking to them, but I would not want to work in an elderly home. Very difficult working hours and like poorly paid and tough work. And it's not something I'm passionate about at all, even though I love older people and like talking to older people. So if I would follow my distortions, I would take that because that would be safety. That would mean we had enough money to survive, we could live here, I wouldn't have to worry about it. There's always work. There's always going to be work for taking care of elderly people, so that's not a problem. That would be the safe way if I was following my distortions. Whereas if I take those away and it's like, okay, can I face the fear of not having enough money? Can I face the fear of having to lose our home, of having to lose the life that we have? And be okay with that, and then make choices based on what I want to do, not based on fear. Because again, if I would base on fear, then I would take the choice where I'd start studying to a nurse. I hope that makes sense, so you can see how when I talk about, I almost said getting stuff, about wanting to achieve your outcomes, maybe you should say instead. I'm not saying, okay, like we're going to do this and the main point is to get over there. No, I'm saying we use our journey over there as practice. Getting over there is actually a very good way of practicing in real life. If you do the work before, where you sit down and you train your mind, and then when things get overwhelming, you do some box breathing or some exercise, and then you also have emotional awareness throughout the day, so that you're aware of your feelings throughout the day and can see like, oh, you know what? I'm now moving towards this thing, but I feel a lot of distortion here. This is really making me uncomfortable. Well, then stop. Don't just try to like force yourself through it because I want to get over there. No, this is the perfect place to practice. There's a deep part in you saying like, no. You're not allowed to go here. Again, this doesn't mean like, oh, no, don't go here because you're going to steal from other people. Like, I'm not saying just do whatever you think will get you to that goal. I'm saying like look at what you have against those things, and then you choose. Do you think it's right to steal from people? Very likely not. And also when you let go of the sense of self, the idea of stealing from others just doesn't really make any sense, because you don't need anything from others. You're happy where you are. So then taking something from others that isn't yours just doesn't make any sense. That really hit home. I often make choices out of fear. Yes. And that is just distortion. It's just your distortion. So when people say, I follow my gut feeling, I say, don't follow your gut feeling. God damn it. Like, you're just going to keep doing whatever you've been doing your entire life, because that is a safe path. That doesn't, like what people then say many times when they do that is that, oh, I have the option of stealing something or doing something that's not okay here, so that feels bad in my gut. But when I take the safe route here, that feels okay. Usually we use that in the perspective when it comes to doing something wrong and doing the right choice. And in that case, like, yes, absolutely, there's like something behind that which would make you that's a different thing. But we equate that to everything, because we are very afraid of moving out of the lane where we've been conditioned to live, which is why it's so difficult to move from where you are to somewhere else. Because your entire upbringing, your parents, society have tried to reinforce you to be whatever they want you to be. And now you're trying to do something else. And that gut feeling is holding you back. Stephen, we can either build ourselves for the world or find a different self that's embedded in stillness by resolving our distortions. We can either build ourselves for the world or find a different self that's embedded in stillness by resolving. Yes. I had to read that twice, but yeah, that leans much more towards what I'm trying to say. The self that you were born with, that was made and created by society and your parents and people around you, that's not really you. That's something that's controlling you, making you feel bad as soon as you go out of your lane. And again, this is what I do when I look at distortion. But I've been struggling so much with helping people get over there, because even though I see that you need that to motivate you, because then you have somewhere you can look, and along the path we have so many options to practice. There's so much work to do on the path to get over there, and it can be a really useful thing to do. It's just that people then tend to run with that, like, oh, I'm going to manifest that, and the ideas I need. So yeah, can you hear when I talk about this? This is a distortion I have. This is a resistance I have, because I don't want to fall into the trap of just helping people get another excuse for just running wild with whatever they think they need to get. I want you to be happy. I want you to feel fulfilled. I want you to feel the joy of just being alive, even though life sucks. There's so many things in my life right now that really suck. So I feel you. I understand that life is not fun all the time. My life is absolutely not grand and just like a walk on roses. And very likely your life isn't either, and you're trying to change that somehow. And that's okay. It's okay to have a life that's not feeling fine. the solution is not necessarily to change your life. Even though if you're in an abusive relationship, absolutely get out of there. Even though if you don't have enough money to put a roof over your head and have food, absolutely get out of there. But if you have enough, if you're in an okay situation and you believe, oh, no, I just need a partner that's a little better looking because I want her to be like a supermodel, good looking, or I just need another job that doesn't give me like, also I have enough money. I want to have like abundance. I need to have millions, billions. I'm just going to take whatever I can. I don't care who I step on. Don't do that. Like, you're just going to, it just never leads to happiness. Just look at the richest people in the world. They very few of them seem genuinely happy, even though there are some that I have to say are just really interesting because they just kind of like, yeah, I just have a shitload of money and that's okay. And I do fun stuff with it. So don't follow the self that the world has built for you instead. Oh, I kind of like that phrasing, Stephen. Don't follow the self that the world has created for you. Instead, we don't want to create a self. What would that be? What would I say? How would I explain that? Let go of the self. Find a different self that's embedded in stillness. Yeah, I guess as a step towards the next step, kind of you would actually have a self that is calm and still, because we have a sense of self, like it's still there. It's there until it isn't there. And this is again a belief, like I believe that if we do this long enough, there will be a point where it just stops. And it makes sense. This would be the classical Theravadan definition of liberation. The self has disappeared. And I can clearly see how the more I do this, and the more I face my struggles, like you all are doing as well, and overcoming that, the more it leads to a point where we just disappear. Nicole, so how to find a job that is not a fear-based choice? I think we are both struggling with this. Watching you has helped me. I'm happy to hear that, Nicole. This is exactly what I want for you, because it also helps me doing this. And as I said, it's not about getting over there, but we can use the thing we're on right now as a way to actually discover to let go of the limiting distortions we have within ourselves, so we can do what we want to do. Like, I am really good at what I do when we talk about these kind of things. I currently work as a janitor, and I'm actually a really good janitor. I say I'm good at doing that stuff, but that's not what I really, really enjoy doing. I like it, but if I could do what I do now all of the time, that would give me so much more. I'm just much happier doing this. I like it. I enjoy that lifestyle. So how do I get over there? Same for you. You very likely have things that you want to change in your life so that you can get somewhere where you don't have to do things. Oh, I'm just saying as an example, when you go somewhere just to get money. I hate the thought of going to sit in a cash register, and I don't like the work. I just do it to make money. I'm just forcing myself to sit here so that I will make the money, but I don't enjoy the work. That doesn't mean you cannot enjoy sitting in a cash register. I have one person I absolutely love who sits at a local store. I've seen her, like she's been there for 20 years. I've seen her. Yeah, 20 years. She's always smiling. She's always happy. Like, look at this, a little bit extra for tonight. Well, that's fun. And it's genuine. She's not just like saying that because she really is a happy person. And I have conversations with her. She remembers me, and remembers me when I was a monk, because I was here sometimes, and when I was a student. So she recognizes me from my life, and she's just such a genuine person. And she is happy sitting in a cash register. I would not be. That would not be the place where I would feel I'm doing what I really want to do. Again, I'm not saying you need to find your life calling. That's not the main thing. The main thing is what do you want to do with your life? Who do you want to be? And then move towards that and see, oh, there's a resistance here. Again, not trying to pump the water up the hill, but instead we're going down. I want to move that way. But there's something in the way. My fear, my anxiety, my worry, my limiting beliefs of who I can't and who I have to be and who I have to please and what I have to do to be okay. It's a very different way of approaching your practice, and it just makes life a lot easier. It doesn't guarantee that you're going to get over there, but I can guarantee you that on your path to going over there, you will let go of a lot of distortions, and you will grow, and eventually you will be able to do what you want to do, because the first step to getting there is just being okay with going there. I'm happy you could see that, Nicole, and I hope you could also find something in that, Stephen, that resonated with you. Realize the different. Oh yeah, sorry, you were writing here. Realize a different self. Realize we have a different self. That's so. Yeah, I think that what you were saying before was the whole letting go of the self that society gave us and creating a different self. Thank you, Stephen. And maybe that is it. Letting go of the self society created for us and creating a self, a different self, or a self without struggle, a struggleless self, as an interim self, meaning that there is a point where that disappears, because the outcome is not that we should create a new self. The outcome is realizing that you never had a self to begin with. It was just an illusion anyway, and you really see this clearly when you start progressing along the way. Cool. It's getting late. I love it when we have these conversations because they help me just as much as they help you. And as I said, I can really see how, for myself, getting to where I want to go, there's not a lot of distortion there. It's just that I don't know exactly what to do to get over there. But the first step to be able to go there is to be okay with making that move and then understanding what we need to do. Okay. So for those of you who are new and who aren't in the chat, we start with having a small talk like this, or a long talk like this, and then we do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. It's quite late today, so we'll do it just a little bit quicker. And then today's Monday, right? Yes, it's Monday. So we have a guided meditation. Let me just see, I'm going to take this. So, also, by the way, just so you know, I have 3 videos created and I'm just finalizing the thumbnails and titles, and I'm hoping I can release them this weekend. It would be really a lot of fun. I've had so much fun making them, and it's really been based on our conversations here and thinking about what you want, not just what I want you to learn, but actually what do you want, which is again something that I have been struggling with, because I have this resistance towards working with outcome because of law of attraction, because of how easy it is to fall into that trap. So we'll see. Hopefully you can help me guide that down a way that makes it so that we can actually enjoy our practice while we work towards getting where we want to be, without getting obsessed with it, without believing, I think it was Stephen who said that the grass is greener over there, because the grass is just as damn green over here. We just need to see it, and then we can move over there where the grass is also green. You don't need to stay where your grass is, and have fun when you move there. So the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method is a way of bringing ourselves back to our senses to feel what it is that we're feeling right now. And we do it by saying out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And when we do that, just say it out aloud. We look for the well, I won't go into too much detail today, but we look at the things and the qualities they have, the reflections, the surfaces, the texture. That's the main idea, not it's a chair and, oh, it's my chair, I like that chair. We're just trying to see it for what it is, which is shapes, colors, textures, materials that we can see. So say them out aloud on your end, whatever you're seeing, and we go through them. I see an office chair. Have a good look at it. See it, see the qualities, and see what it's like. I see a painting by my daughter. I see a spotlight. I see my reading glasses. It's a really cool thing happening in the lenses when I move. I see myself. I see an image of myself. And I see electrical contact. That was 5 things that I could see. Next we take 4 things we can feel. I can feel an itch on my leg down here. I can feel the wind blowing from the heater on my face. Actually not directly on my face, but it's kind of moving the air next to me. It's almost like it's caressing me. It's nice to feel the touch of the air. It's just doing this is very interesting. It's an enjoyable sensation. We're trying to enjoy our sensations. We're trying to be our senses. We're not trying to be aware of our senses. We're actually trying to be our senses, to inhibit them and to feel, to look, to smell, to see, to taste. I feel my leg, and I can feel the sensation of water running down my throat. 4 things I could feel. Next we take 3 things we can hear. I can hear the fan of my heater. I can hear a car passing by on the road. I can hear some kind of ticking in my ear, like I think it's my eardrum flexing a little bit. 3 things I could hear. Next we take 2 things that we can smell. I can smell sweat. There's a stale kind of smell in here. 2 things I could smell. Next we take 1 thing that we can taste. I can taste a cookie. So as always, I want you to start by moving your awareness towards your breath. We're not trying to feel the individual sensations of the breath. Instead, we're just trying to be aware of breath happening. And the reason we're training this is because throughout the day, we want to be aware of our mood, of our feelings, of our emotions, what we're feeling on a constant basis throughout the day. It is very difficult to be aware of your thoughts throughout the whole day. This is something that people struggle with, that they feel bad about. They feel they fail at meditation because they're trying to be aware of their thoughts the entire day. They're trying to control their thoughts the entire day. And thoughts are ephemeral. They're very difficult to touch, to hold, to control, to even understand what they are. Whereas our emotions, our feelings, our mood, that is something tangible. That is something you can touch, you can feel. And despite what many people think, you can actually change your mood. Not by changing your thoughts, but directly by moving towards feeling good, feeling like you enjoy yourself. So by being aware of our breath, we are training our mind, our ability to stay with what is happening inside of us. This is also the reason why I don't want you to struggle with trying to feel every single nuance of the breath. If you do, that is fine. But there is no need to. Instead, I want you to train your ability to be aware and stay with the breath throughout the day so that you can be aware, ultimately, of what your mood is. Now, the breath will change throughout the day, and you will see that. You will see the connection between the breath changing and what mood you're in. If you're feeling stressed and nervous sometimes, it's even difficult to focus on your breath because it's so uncomfortable. It's shaking, it's almost being a little bit scary to observe it because it's uncomfortable. It can feel like being cold, an uncomfortable feeling just being aware of it. But by doing so, you notice, oh, for some reason when I'm talking to this person, I'm reacting as if though I'm being thrown out of the tribe. I'm reacting as if though something very dangerous is about to happen. And since you notice that, you can do something about it. And there are techniques like the box breathing, coherence breathing, many other breathing techniques that you can do to calm yourself down without starting to sing a loud mantra in front of the other person to calm yourself down, which would be a bit strange. But I mean, you could if you wanted to. So the breath has many uses, and it really is a tool that we can bring with us. It's not about gaining a special state. It's not about becoming enlightened right here, right now, by seeing Nibbana or whatever it is you believe you need to do. Instead, it's just a tool that we use that happens to be quite enjoyable most of the time. Now, to make it a little bit easier to follow the breath when we do this more formal sitting or going to the gym, as I call it sometime, we're going to count our breath from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. And I'll do it together with you once, and then you can continue by yourself until I jump back in towards the later part of the meditation. So breathing in and out. 1. In and out. 2. In and out. 3. In and out. 4. In and out. 5. In and out. 6. In and out. 7. In and out. 8. In and out. 7. In and out. 6. In and out. 5. In and out. 4. In and out. 3. In and out. 2. In and out. 1. Now keep counting your breath, going from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1 as you breathe in and out. 1. In and out. I want you to think of a place you want to go in your life, or a situation you want to have happen. This could be a goal you want to get to, with something happening around you, something you achieved. It could be a new job you want. It could even be something like a financial statement on your bank account, even though that's kind of too vague in many ways. Instead, make it into something that you want: a job, a title, or a partner, or a car, or something that you would like to have. And then I want you to feel, now that you've been sitting and focusing on your awareness of your breath, I want you to feel what you can feel when you think of that thing. What emotion does that car have inside of you? Is it calm? Is it peaceful? What kind of feeling do you get inside of you? Even excitement is a kind of distortion. Maybe there's fear, because if you buy that car, you won't have money to do the things you really need to spend your money on. Or maybe it's fear that if you get it, you'll drive too fast, it will be stolen, someone will damage it, something's going to happen to it. Just feel all of the things that you can feel about this, the distortions you have towards it. Again, we're not trying to visualize, we're not trying to create something in our mind, we're just feeling what it feels like when you think of that car. And then I want you to ask yourself, is this me? Or is it just a distortion? Is this me, who I actually am, that I'm feeling? Or is it just a distortion, a sensation in my body? If it is you, then why are you afraid of this sensation inside of your body? What about it is it that is making you feel fear or pain? Or like you need to move away from it? Or that there's struggle involved with it, uncertainty? Why are you afraid of that feeling if it is you? If it isn't you, and it's just a distortion, just a feeling inside of your body, then why are you afraid of it? It's just a feeling in your body. Next, I want you to ask yourself, how does this distortion change your behavior? How does it change who you are and how you interact with the world around you in regards to this thing that you're thinking of? How does this feeling, this emotion, this distortion change who you are and how you're behaving in regards to this thing, situation, place, whatever it is? Next, I want you to ask, who would you be without this distortion, without this feeling, without this resistance? How would you behave differently than you are right now if you didn't have this distortion towards the thing you're looking at? Questions again are, is this me, or is it just a distortion? If it is me, or if it is just a distortion, a feeling in my body, why am I afraid of it? How does this distortion, this feeling, change who I am and how I interact with the world around me? And if I didn't have this distortion, this feeling, how would that change who I am and how I interact with the world around me. Always move towards peace, ease, tranquility, stillness, calmness, just being comfortable with being here when you're looking at these things. As always, thank you for a beautiful sitting and a nice talk beforehand. I really enjoy these conversations, and I really am curious to see what you find of the new videos when they come out. Thank you to Nicole. Thank you everyone for being here, and I'll see you back on Thursday again. Have a nice week until then.